Hi, my name is Devraj Bardhan and I lead the SAP AI unit for IBM Consulting. I'm based out of London and I've been doing SAP for the past 25 years.
If you had to explain ECC versus S/4HANA in 1 minute to a CIO, how would you do it?
ECC runs on traditional databases like Oracle, DB2, and SQL Server, and also can run on HANA if you upgrade to the suite in HANA. S4HANA runs only on the HANA database. It has a very lovely front end which is Fiori. It's got AI built into it, and it's got a lot more additional features that are not available in ECC but only built for S4. It's got a simplified data model, so you have a finance and controlling data models combined together. It has a simplified logistics data model, and it has got a simplified pricing structure, to say the least. These simplified structures enable SAP to work faster and better.
Why did SAP fundamentally redesign ERP instead of extending ECC further?
ECC was built off a very old legacy platform, R3, which fundamentally came out in the market in the year 1993. There is a software shelf life after which you cannot renew it any further. So keeping that in mind, SAP spun up completely different product called S4HANA. A lot of it was based on SAP ECC, but a lot of new technologies got added to it. And SAP rewrote a part of finance and part of their logistics module in line with what the world needed today, being more agile and being more cloud native. And that's the reason why SAP created a new product called S4HANA, which is a completely different code line, is more cloud native and aligned to today's technology and today's needs for cloud customers, and not assigned or not aligned to the old architecture that was there in 1993, which we inherited from the old R2 framework. To get out of legacy, you needed to come out with a new architecture, and that is one of the primary reasons why SAP came out with a completely new code line for S4HANA.
What business problems does S/4HANA solve that ECC simply cannot?
A couple of things that come to mind when you're looking at S4HANA versus ECC is it has a very simplified data model which helps you to analyze your data faster and work faster with SAP systems. That's number one. The second thing that's very fundamentally different in S4 versus ECC is that you can run your products like TM, PPDS as embedded modules inside of S4HANA. In the ECC world, you needed a separate database and a separate server for TM, EWM, APO. They have all been brought into the core as the main product. That's the fundamental difference that I can think about. The next difference is that the front end, a lot of UI has already been built only on Fiori, which don't exist in the SAP GUI or in the WebDyn Pro world. So you're seeing a lot of new screens built in Fiori, which is cloud native technology. And finally, you have a lot of embedded AI in S4HANA, which is not ECC.
Is S/4HANA more about performance, architecture, or business outcomes?
S4HANA actually has to be for business outcomes. You want the business to get benefit, otherwise they're not going to implement it. So what's the benefit? You want to do month-end closure. In ECC, it will take you 5 to 7 days. In S4, it can take you a couple of hours. That's the speed. You can close your books faster. A simple MRP would move the data to APO via BW. APO process would run overnight. The planners would come in on day 2, do the planning, send out the planned purchase requisitions and the planned production orders back to SAP ECC, which would go in second night, and third day is when the production could actually start. It was very old-fashioned way of doing it, but that was what technology allowed us in ECC. In S4HANA, you're running MRP live on live data anytime you want. You can do your PPDS run on your live S4 data anytime you want. There's no data movement because all the data is sitting in S4, and you can create your planned orders and purchase orders on the fly. That's possible with S4HANA today, which is primarily business transformation and helping the business achieve more with less.
What are the biggest myths customers still believe about moving from ECC to S/4HANA?
There are a couple of myths that I can think about. One of them is that customers think that S4 is an ECC upgrade, which it is not. It is really a new product. And the second thing is customers feel they can run S4 on premise. Ideally, they should be thinking of running it on cloud because cloud gives us a scale and a lot more flexibility than on-premise world would give. So the myth is I could run your S4 just like ECC. You should not think of running S4 like ECC. You can upgrade your ECC to S4, but the minute you are live with S4, you should be thinking about new ways of doing business, new ways of working with S4, because that's going to drive your business value on day one, not after 2 or 3 years.
Brownfield, Bluefield, Greenfield. How should companies really decide?
If your business model is drastically changed and your ECC was built, say, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and is no more fit for purpose, running like a legacy system, you should consider using a greenfield approach. But if your ECC is in a pretty good shape, has got all the Z codes that you still require, and is very current, I would propose that you can think of a Bluefield or a Brownfield approach. A Brownfield approach is for a customer who has got all his data sets right. You've done your cleansing of data, you've archived your data, you do not need to delete a lot of company codes. You have not demerged or merged with multiple companies that you do not need anymore in S4. But if you want some amount of transformation with your S4, you want to change some of your business logic, you want to change the way your current system works, you want to remove some company codes and not take them with you to S4, then you should consider the Bluefield approach. So it is a roadmap that you need to define with your system integrator, and you need to talk to them to understand what the best approach is. But like I said, if you have a very good and stable ECC system, consider Brownfield. And if you are having a lot of data and a lot of customization that you do not want to carry to your new system, consider Bluefield approach.
What usually breaks first in poorly planned S4HANA programs?
What usually breaks is if you take your ECC and upgrade it to S4, you take all your data without archiving, you do not do your custom code remediation, which is basically required to make your S4 work, typically tend to break. But the majority of the breakage is happening because of data. You have a lot of data in your ECC, you've kept it there for the last 15 years, you've not archived it. You've got material masters for plants that don't exist. You've got vendors which you have ceased to do business with, but they exist. If you do not clean them up, they cause the biggest problems. So my recommendation to all of you is, even if you're not on S4 today, start looking at the ECC and start doing a data cleansing, start downsizing, start archiving, start cleaning up your ECC in a way that you can prepare to move to S4. And if you do that, your S4 transformation or your S4 movement will be very, very smooth.
How important is data quality before starting the transition?
If you're looking at transition, data quality is very important. But if you are actually having a lot of data which is unclean or incorrect, it's not going to help with your transactions. You do not have the right vendor master, the custom master, and a material master. You cannot move in your open sales orders, your open purchase orders, or your production orders into the system. So it's very, very critical that you fix something that you can do in ECC today, which means that you are able to do it with a smaller team upfront, which means your project duration can be really small. You do not burn the project time cleaning data.
Where do most ECC customers underestimate the effort?
They underestimate the effort in terms of not using automation tools and think they can do it on their own. Example, if you want to migrate a whole lot of data, you should use automation tools that are available from companies like S&P or SAP's SLO, because they have an automation that is proven. If you're trying to do code remediation, you should consider using SmartShift, because they can automate whole remediation and do it in a much more smaller period of time. Of course, they cost money to buy those licenses for the project, but they are definitely worth it. If you're looking at data migration, data cleansing, there are multiple tools available from IBM and other companies which you can use to cleanse your data upfront. This is where the customers underestimate and they think of a do-it-yourself. I'll give an example. You are driving a brand new car, it breaks down on the road, you see it's a puncture, you can take it to a local garage store and get a puncture fixed, no harm. But if your car has a brake problem, you do not want to do it yourself. You want to take it to car's dealer's showroom and get it properly fixed. Do it yourself sometimes does not help. You have to have the proper tools that enable you to do your transformation through an automated tool. And that automated tool, if you use, you can actually reduce a lot of cost. So in short, where do customers falter? They falter when they try a do-it-yourself approach. They try not using automation tools to save cost. That bites them up at the back.
Can organizations delay S4HANA and still remain competitive?
ECC has been there since a long time. It's now 20 years. We have R3 for more than 30 years, 32 years to be precise. It is a legacy platform. It is very old and maintaining it becomes very, very difficult. So if you continue using ECC and it runs fine for you, fine, you may be able to use it. But think of the issues that you're going to have. If you have an issue with the software, SAP may not be able to provide you support. A third party may not be able to provide you support. You may not be compliant with the government regulations and your auditors. So keep thinking of those three major points to see if why you should move away from ECC and look at S4 as your key drivers. Also think about it that you are moving at a fast pace and you suddenly buy a new business and want to grow quicker. If you're in ECC, you will write ABAP codes, you will use legacy processes to do it, you will not have APIs that you can consume. You'll probably need 6 to 9 months to create a new Z module that can take you live. You are losing advantage, your competitive advantage goes away. With S4, you will be able to use APIs out of the box, you'll be able to use BTP, you'll be able to use side-by-side extensions using AWS, Azure, GCP, which will give you a lot of speed and benefit. And you can also get a lot of benefit from AI-generated code and AI-generated processes that will help you speed up your implementation, which gets you back on track, gets your merger done, gets your new products released quicker, and gets your business model and the business running at a much faster pace. And you cannot do all of that with ECC, and therefore you should consider moving to S4 if that is the business driver.
What does clean core practically mean in S4 HANA programs?
Clean core is an SAP term that is telling customers to create a ABAP code, that those codes are cloud native and they can be built either on S4 on stack or built on side-by-side BTP, which will enable you to upgrade your S4 systems at a much faster pace. One of the reasons why it takes a long time to move from ECC to S4 is because you've got a lot of custom code. One of the best ways to reduce the custom codes is to make sure that you are able to write them in clean core formats so that you will be able to keep managing your ABAP code in a very agile manner and enable you to keep delivering business value and at the same time upgrade to the latest SAP versions.
How should business users be prepared for the shift, not just IT teams?
The business users need to think about how to use S4HANA in the way it's intended to be used. For example, they should start adopting embedded AI, they should start adopting embedded analytics, and they should be starting to use a lot more Fiori. Because by starting to use Fiori, by starting to use embedded AI, and by starting to use embedded analytics, they'll be using the full power of S4HANA right from day one. So my recommendation to customers is that while you move from ECC to S4, start moving to Fiori at the same time. Start looking at the embedded analytics, embedded AI, which is out of the box, and start leveraging them from day one. That way, the business will be on board and they'll be starting to look at new features, because every time you buy a new phone, you always look for the new features. So when you go live with S4, the business will be looking for new features from day one.
What role does SAP BTP play in a modern S4 HANA architecture?
ECC world, you always had something called NetWeaver. NetWeaver had PO running, you had Enterprise Portal running, you had SRM running, CRM running, everything used NetWeaver as their baseline platform. Exactly the same way as you had NetWeaver, you have BTP. So BTP, you should not consider them something different to your S4. It's part of your S4. It's like an extended arm of your S4. What does BTP do? It enables you to build your integration on the cloud integration platform. It allows you to build forms, it allows you to build reports, it allows you to build your AI, it allows you to build extensions. And that's what SAP BTP is all about. So whenever you look at a RISEF, don't think the RISEF will be built fully on S4 on stack. Think of which RISEFs can also move to BTP, because it gives you the flexibility of using cloud-native technologies like JavaScript, Node.js, Python, or even Fiori UI can, instead of being developed on stack, can be developed on Fiori much more flexibly.
If you were starting today, what would you do differently than projects done 5 years ago?
A lot of projects that started many years ago either went complete Greenfield or they went Brownfield. What we are seeing today is Bluefield approach. We are seeing a lot of customers doing a lot more Bluefield than they were doing before. That's because they want the best of Brownfield and the best of Greenfield together, and which is what Bluefield gives you. IBM has been pioneering Bluefield for a very long time, and we have been very successful with many customers like Vodafone, OMV, Pfizer. IBM's own CIO has implemented S4 using the Bluefield approach. Adobe is another example, very, very successful. So Bluefield gives you the best transformational value of S4, at the same time taking your template, which is very rich and works in ECC, over to S4 and you can do a big bang go live. The downside of doing Greenfield is that you're rolling out a template for multiple years. There's still customers rolling out ECC into multiple countries and it takes them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to do so. With a Bluefield approach, you can go live with 50 countries, 100 countries all in one weekend. And that's what I'm recommending customers to look at and do. And that's what I'll change for any customer starting today. Don't think of doing Greenfield just purely for the sake of creating a template and rolling it out, or just doing a brownfield and getting stuck with the old template without any transformation. Look at Bluefield because it gets you the best of both green and brown together in one.
What's the one mistake companies must avoid at all costs in ECC to S4 journeys?
One of the mistakes that customers do make quite a lot is to say, I'll just do a technical upgrade. A technical upgrade is good if you have a very good system, but a lot of customers have not maintained their EC system for many years. They've been running it like a legacy system. So the mistake they should definitely avoid is that if they're going in with a brownfield approach, to do an archiving and get rid of data they don't need, make sure they get rid of all the ABAP code that is not being used. I'm pretty sure that 70% of ABAP code is not even used. They've written in 10 years, 15 years back, no one executes them today. They're just sitting in a SAP system, get rid of them. So that's one of the things they should do. Get rid of your ABAP code, get rid of your data that you don't need, get rid of customization that you don't need, and then basically get a mean EC system ready to move to S4.